Y'all, give me a minute to get all the links sent out, and we'll be ready. Okay. Ooh. One. There's that one. That's him. All right, one more, and we'll be ready. All right. I'm getting new bottles opened as we speak. All right, let me close this. I am alive. That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny. All right, let me get this tab out of here because I'm opening a new bottle of resin. Get that out. That there. Y'all, today we're going to be talking about stencils. Have y'all used stencils before? In fact, while I'm here, move this over here. Move these up here. We have our little micas and colorants. Whoop. Y'all. All right. Trying to get situated. I thought I had everything ready to go, but I did not. So let me move stuff. Here I have a lot of stencils, y'all. Super easy. We do this much better. All right. Put all our colorants there. Our stencils up here. We get my handy dandy gloves on. We're going to get our resin poured, let it sit while I'm talking and doing things. So I'm going to show you all a few different ways to do this. Let me know when you get in. Say hey, where you're coming from. Oh, goodness. Y'all, it's been a crazy, crazy week, let me tell you. But we made it to Friday, right? Put my skitters away. I'm just going to pour up some resin. If I have any left over, I have plenty of stuff laying around that I'll find a use for it. So I always start with A. Let's see. How much resin do I want to mix? I can pour these later. So let's do 10 ounces. 5 and 5. Here goes our A. Dagnabbit, I didn't get my baby wipes out. That's right. All right, there's that. Get my handy dandy baby wipes. Remember, I tell y'all, keep them handy. And let's wipe our. I always wipe the top of my resin jug and down the front off because when I go to use this again, I'm going to have less of an issue getting my lid off if I wipe this off after I use it. So that's why I always do that. So I don't have that struggle opening my resin when I'm ready to use again. Be poured. I'm not going to use a bubble remover today. I found I don't use it a whole lot, really. Because if you use a good quality resin, you really don't need it. I mean, it's great for some things, like if you're using an intricate mold that has a lot of nooks and crannies in it. I'll use it for something like that. But if I'm just pouring a flat, straight coaster or something, I'm not too worried about it. So let me get my, what you call it, scale, that's what you call it, out of the way. And we're just going to mix this. And y'all, I want to remind you, because I've been seeing a lot of posts lately about, I mixed my resin for 3 minutes and I still have weak spots. Well, let me remind you, mixing resin is not a timed event. Okay? Don't rely on, I mixed it for 3 minutes, I mixed it for 5 minutes, and I still have weak areas. We mix our resin until we have no more. See how we have streaking in there and it's cloudy? It means it's not mixed up. And you can see when I swirl it, you see the streaks and the difference in the resin. Okay? So if I could tilt it to the side, you'd really be able to see it. Yeah, there's no time. Maker, a lot of people will think, you know, I set a timer for 3 minutes. I'm done. It's good. I set a timer for 5 minutes. Okay, it's good. That's not actually true. You can still have streaks after 3 minutes. You can still have them after 5. They can be gone in 3 minutes. So you don't really set a timer and judge by time. You judge by how clear your resin is. Do you still see jellyfish like little tails in there? Do you still see streaks in it? It's not mixed thoroughly if you do. You want everything to be perfectly clear with 0 streaks or jellyfish in your resin. And remember, scrape the bottom and your sides and your stick that you're stirring with at least twice during your stirring. And if you're using an automated mixer, hey Tamara, if you're using one of those automated mixers, make sure that even doing that, you need to scrape the sides down in the bottom, because those mixers stay in the middle and mix like this usually, right? They don't go around the sides. So make sure, even if you use an automatic mixer, that you scrape your sides and your bottom down and your stick too. Okay? So today I'm going to show you, I have a few different stencils, and I'm going to show you different ways that you can use them and different methods that will give you different results using them. I have a lot of fun. I love stencils, and I haven't pulled them out in a long time. And I thought, you know what? I got some new ones because I was going to, I'll tell you, my aim was to do, and I'm sure you've seen it, the face in a round. Usually it's a table. They have the eyes, the nose, they have the facial profile, and then they use flowers to make the hair. If you've seen that, comment, so I know you know what I'm talking about. Just stirring this, gonna wipe my stick again. And y'all, when I wipe my stick like this, that's what's on the side of my cup. I use this part of my stirring stick to scrape that off the side, because this part of my stick is going to go back into the resin. So if I scrape it way up here and you see my stick doesn't go to there, it's still not getting incorporated. So when you scrape from the side of your cup after you wipe your stick, make sure it's the lower half that you're scraping off, so it gets incorporated back into your resin. And I think we are good with that. Who remembers the prom? I have a lot of resin in here. I have 10 ounces in a 16-ounce cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate. I'm going to pour some out into another cup so we don't heat up our resin too quickly. Okay? I'm just going to, that's good. They're about even. So I'm going to set them to the side here. I'm just going to set my stick in here. But I want to wipe off the side of my cup just to make sure that's not on the outside. And it's not as good. All right. So let's talk about a few different things with stencils. Stencils are great to create an extra design on something that could be really plain, like a coaster, for example. Let me move these off to the side. So if you have a coaster, it's plain, you just pour your stuff in there, no big deal. And I did not clean this when I pulled it out. So let me just wipe it down real quick. Get all that off there. I'm not worried about that part. Okay, so we have this little plain coaster. Super easy, and I'm going to wipe these off while we're talking. All right. I'm not using that one. Set it aside. All right. Yeah, dog hair in my mouth. Look. So if we use a stencil, see how we can add some character to what would just be a plain pour. So we add the character instead of just having something plain. And you can decorate it, design it however you want, use whatever stencil you want. Wow. Y'all. My dogs were having a heyday yesterday because we got some cold weather. And I did not, my fault, this is why you cover your molds. I did not have these covered, so I have some junk on them. I'm just going to wipe away like so, clean up like that, no big deal. All right, so you see how I added these stencils of butterfly, and what I did, instead of just using one color, I added an ombre. Different colors to give it a different effect. So that's something else you can use to add a little more pizzazz to your piece. Instead of just using one flat color, use multiple colors to give it some highlights and movement. Okay, so that's one way you can use it. Again, I have, good gravy, y'all. Again, another lesson why you cover your molds. You see all that mess from my dogs running wild outside in the cold, expecting snow. All right, so I'm not going to fill this one, but I want to show you. So I did this again, and I colored my leaves green, and I made my flowers different colors. See that? And then for the heart, I just did a multicolor background. So I can pour this as a background. And if I want to put something, a sticker, a picture, whatever on top of it, then I have this background to give a little more depth to our piece, right? So that's another way. You can use it like this as a background to give that background to set your picture in, or you can use different colors to highlight your stencil in different ways. I'm not going to pour that today, but I wanted you to see it. This is another way. I didn't use a stencil on this. I just used different colors, and I wanted you to see this, to create different designs. That can be like a sunset design. And if you pour this with a dark color behind it, it's really going to pop off that dark color. If you pour white behind this, it's going to pastel these colors out and make it a little softer. So that's another thing we've talked about, using different backgrounds. And here's some more that I did. And I used different colors so you can see the different effects that you can get just simply by brushing these pieces to form that background. And here's another one. This one's a little softer. See that? So beautiful. So we have those. I'm not going to pour these either. I really want to focus on stencils, but I want to show you how you can use your micas to give you that design. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you multiple ways, okay? And I have all mine clipped on a ring. So it's easy for me to get hold of my stencils that I want. And I have some that have sayings for Christmas. I have little animals like so. What's here? A wolf. These are more like scenes. I think these are like geometric designs. What we have for these. There's a little dragon design. Okay. So what I have done in the past is I have one, and I don't know where it's at. It may be over in my drawers that I have, but I have one that's trees. So what I have done in the past is I've taken the stencil that has trees and I put that down, and then I poured clear. So I have that tree background, and then I poured clear, and then I found little deer. I have little deer in here, and I did a stencil on the next layer up that are deer in the trees. So when you look at this, you see the dimension, the layers. You'll see the deer, you'll see the trees, and they're offset. So it gives them that 3D look. Does that make sense to you guys, or is that too much? Is it confusing? Are y'all still with me? Do you see me? Ah, there you go. So what I'm going to do, Maker, that's perfect. I will show you what I'm talking about with this. This one, I will build face up. So meaning I'm going to put my background down first, and then we'll build layers on top of that. So I will put, don't want to do brown. Maybe I'll do a blue background with some of my marabou for like a starry sky. Okay. And I've also done this with mountains too. So we'll do that background with a starry sky, and then we'll do the trees for a layer of clear, let that set, then do either some deer or some mountains. Well, the mountains would have to come first, then the trees, but you know what I'm trying to say. So we'll build layers like that, and I'll show you the finished project for that so you can see it. And I'll make a little video step by step how I did that. So that's easy for you to understand and follow. Okay. So for this one, let's just do, see, I have an owl, I have a panda, I have a horse, a fox, a monkey, a lion. Let's see, what do we have? So what do y'all want me to do? Do you want me to do a panda? Let's do, and this is one of those you just unhook it. Since panda's up front, we'll do a panda, and we'll do, no, not that, not a rhino. Let's do a fox. A fox and a panda. That'll be cool, huh? Panda. There we go. Panda and a fox. And we want to put next to this. See, here's some little bushes on the stencil. And I don't know if you can see that. See little bushes on the stencil? So you can add these little bushes down around to make any scene that you want. And you don't have to be artistic. You don't have to be able to paint well. There's stencils that allow you to do all of that. And you just simply use mica and you're done. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. All right. Let me set these to the side. Oh, we have a wolf, like on a rock, that's howling. That's a fun one to do too, with like a moon in the background on a starry night. So there's a lot of different things you can do. So I highly recommend grabbing some stencils for yourself and just have some fun. Just try it out, okay? Maybe we'll put a fox on this one with the butterflies. And we'll do a horse on this one, okay? So let me break out. And this is what you can use. I have intense chameleon powders. I have my holographic glitters. Those work too. I have chameleon powders. Those work awesome to give that effect where you can see different colors when you shift it. It has that color shift. So let's do the panda. And let's actually, I want to use some silver and black. If it will come out. There we go. Black and silver holographic glitter on this one. So I want you to see how this works. These are my favorite. Now, when I'm using mica powder and I'm putting it on my mold, here's something very big. This is a huge pro tip. There we go. Horses for 2026. I always use makeup brushes, or I have eyeshadow applicators. Well, if I can get one. There we go. I have eyeshadow applicators. These are the things that I use the most when I'm putting on mica on my molds, because makeup brushes are very soft. The bristles are super soft, whereas paint brushes sometimes can be stiff and can scratch your mold. So be very careful about what you use to apply these when you're doing these stencils. So let's do our panda first. And I'm just going to use this brush. And we'll do silver. And it can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to give him black eyes. So I'm going to paint our brush silver here. And if it gets outside of your stencil, it's not a problem, because you simply use a baby wipe to crisp up any lines and get this. Let's just do his front. Probably silver too. Okay. And maybe his little tail. We'll make his tail silver as well. All right. I'm going to do the rest in black. And what I always suggest is, when you're doing these, make your stencil, put clear resin over it so it stands out. Okay. He has a black eye. And we can move this to our next little area that we want colored in, because this is a plastic stencil. So it's very easy to move these micas. I'm sorry. I had my finger in the way. Move it around on the plastic to your next area. So if you have a lot in one area, you can smooth it around so everything gets covered. Okay. And I always suggest brush your mica off of this before you pull it up. Put it in an area. Okay? Because when you pull it up, it's going to spread it all over your mold if you don't brush it off. All right, so I'm going to set this to the side. And now I'm going to lift the stencil straight up. Okay? And you see our little panda is on there now. and I blow any excess off. And I also can take my wipe, and I like to put my finger here and wipe up close to my stenciled area and get any excess off. Okay? So I let my finger be like a pencil and just draw right up there next to it and get the excess. This is when I say crisp your lines. This is what I mean. You take this baby wipe and crisp like that. So there we go. We don't have any excess laying around. You can see our panda. He's ready. So I'm going to set that to the side. And you just simply wipe your stencil off with a baby wipe, front and back, and it's ready for your next use. It's that easy. So that's great. Now, let me put my lid on here. All right, for our horse, let's, you know what, maybe I want to turn him. No, I don't, because it's not going to fit that way. I was going to turn it sideways, but that's fine. We'll make it this way. And you can press these plastic, and silicone usually grabs it. So, see here how it's stuck? That's what you want. It's easier, so it's not moving around when you apply color. So let me move my panda. And let's just get some regular chameleon powder for this one. And you see I have a eyeshadow applicator in here. And these come with a brush. That's olive. I don't want that. Galaxy. Magenta. Gold. Could do some gold on him, huh? Some mint. Ooh, that would be pretty. Let's do gold and grape. We'll do gold, grape, and teal. I'm going to do an ombre for this horse. And I'm going to show you what that is. And an ombre, I do darkest to lightest. So I will have this first on the bottom, this next, and then this will be the top of my piece. So it ombres up to darker to lighter. For anyone who didn't know what I mean when I say that. So let's start at the bottom, and we're going to start with our grape. And we're going to put, and I always brush, oh my gosh, clean my brush is what I'm trying to say. Y'all, the struggle is real today. And I'm going to do the bottom part of this horse. And I'm going to draw like an imaginary line for myself here. And I'm going to do it like that. Maybe we'll go up a little higher. Okay? I'm going to brush that off. And then I'm going to start with my next color, which is teal, because we're doing the ombre, remember? So we're going to go with teal next. And we're going to fill in all of these at the bottom with teal. Y'all see what I mean by ombre now? And we're going to draw that line a little higher. So everything from that line down, we're going to do teal. Okay? And because I pressed this to that silicone mold, my stencil is staying, so I don't really have to hold it in place, which is always a plus. Now our lightest color is gold, and we're going to do the remaining part of this in gold. And we're not doing that little hole, because that hole is strictly to put it on that hook and store them together. Okay? So, there we have it. We have an ombre horse. Right on my. So you see that? Isn't that beautiful, y'all? I really love this. Yes, that's a great question. It does. Do you see how this looks like there's water or something underneath it compared to the bottom part where you can see the white here? The white part is not really attached to the silicone. And all I did was gently press it down so it sticks. Now it's going to be easy for me. I'm going to grab this corner and I'm lifting straight up. And there you have it. It transferred perfectly. No issues. Again, I'll go around and clean up any little edges on this that mica might have gotten in areas that I don't want. So I'm going to clean my stencil off, which is super easy, y'all. Just wipe it down gently because you don't want to get it caught in here and pull these little details. And there you have it. It's ready to use again. So I'm going to set it over here on our pile out of the way. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you. You might think this is clean, but watch. Around like the bottom here. Look, I have stuff on this that came off. So I suggest still going around like here. I can tell there are places around here that have mica. Okay, so I want to wipe these areas good because I don't want that splatter of mica in my background. I only want this beautiful horse. Okay, so we have our horse. Now let's move on to our, thank you, Tam. I love these two. That's probably one of my favorite. This combination and using these two together with silver is probably the one I use the most. I really love these together. They're beautiful. Now, we're going to do our fox. And on these, I'm only pouring clear because I want to come back and add a background. Okay, so when I pour this clear layer, I'm going to be able to come back and add some grass under my horse's feet if I want to. I can add some grass around his feet, but on a different layer. So it's going to give it that depth. So there we go. Let's get our, set him over here because he's ready for some resin. And let's do our fox real quick because our resin's heating up a little bit, but not too bad. So let's do, what's the other one I was going to show? Oh, the Intense. I want you to see the difference of this chameleon compared to the other. And this is what I'm talking about. Let's Resin is great about sending these little brushes for you to use to brush your molds with. And they're like a makeup brush too. They have very soft bristles. You're not going to have to worry about scratching your molds with these either. And I'm going to put these all out because they get crammed in this little box. Sometimes they're hard to get out. So we have this dark green in purple. We have this like pink goldish tone. Then we have this green and orangish color. And we have a dark magenta. And what is this one? A dark blue. I love this blue. We're going to use this blue and probably use it with this magenta green. Is that the one? All right, this is a galaxy. No. No, let's do it with this one. What do you think, guys? Not the magenta. I think I like this better because it has more contrast. Let's use these two. And these are deep blue and fairy green. That's what we're going to use for our box. And we're going to start with the deep blue. Do you see how dark that is? You see that in the lid? These are beautiful colors, and they're very, very vibrant. And this will complement this vibrant butterfly that we have going on. contrast. Yes, I agree. So look, it takes a very little of these. And let's do a blue tail. This is like a violet, like a blue purple. We're just going to do it again. We're just going to split them up. We'll do half and half. So everything from here down, we're going to do in this deep blue. And y'all saw I had very little on this brush. And look how much colorant I'm getting, how much I'm able to color. And now when I only have a little bit left, instead of dipping back into the jar, you can just dip from the lid and not get as much, right? That's going to help you stretch your color out because as you can tell, there's not a lot in here. And this is another pro tip. If your mica comes in a little baby jar like this, it is meant to be brushed on your mold for the best result. Because a little bit goes a very long way, as you can see. We didn't put a lot on there. So now we're going to do the top half of our box. And these colors really, I was going to say, wait a minute. I did it right. I had to look at the butterfly. I was like, uh-oh. I put the box upside down, but I didn't. He's good. So we're just going to get this color added in here for our box. Super cute. Y'all, he's adorable. Do you like little foxes? I think they're adorable. I like little wild puppies. They came up to say hi. I won't lie. I would say hi back. Okay, so we have our fox done. And this is the green. And you can see in the lid that color shift. It's beautiful. And it's called fairy green. Now, you can see this. All right, so let's lift it up. There's our fox. He's adorable. We're going to lift this up and get it out of the way. And I usually, if I have something loose, I blow off any loose areas. And now you can see what I'm talking about with excess and needing to crisp up your areas. And I let my fingernail and my fingertip in the baby wipe clear that off. See how easy that was? Have y'all used any of these intense? There we go. All right. Have y'all used these intense colors before? They're really different than the regular ones. They really are more vibrant. I'll give them that. And I'm just going around with my nail and I'm holding this securely because I don't want this to slip and take off all that work I just did to get this on there. But I want to get all that excess out from around. So there we go. Beautiful. Now, again, I'm just going to clean up our little box here. And I'm just going to show y'all how to pour clear. I'm going to move these out of the way. Let me get my stencils. Get up. Get out of the way. There we go. I'm going to set them off to the side. I'll put them back on the ring when we're done. But I want you to see, put your brush back in your box or you're going to lose it like I did. But I want you to see how to pour resin over these stenciled areas. Okay? I'll move this. Excuse me. I'm going to move these. You can see them. Husky hair floating. All right, let's lose. Woo, y'all. It has been a week. I cannot talk. Maybe because I'm a year older. Thank y'all for the birthday wishes. That was very sweet. We're at an age now where we just say we gain another year at 29. Seriously, though, I'm thankful for another year to spend with my kids and my grandbaby. Now, I've been letting this sit on the side. It is a little bit warm. It's not super hot. But this is how you want to pour resin. You don't want to pour directly over your stencil because it could push things out, and you don't want to ruin what you just spent working on. So let me set this to the side in case I don't have enough resin for that. I know I have enough for these. So this is how I pour my resin over a stenciled area. I pour it down my stick, not directly on my stenciled area. And I'm just going to let that wash over the stencil. I'm not pouring directly on that. Okay? And that's all I want to pour in there, because I want to give myself room to add more layers. And that is about half full. And you see some of that loose mica is going to float. That's all right. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that is really going to be the difference of using the holographic glitter and this chameleon powder. Because you see some of this glitter is starting to float up. You won't see that in this mica powder. So let's get this poured in here. And I'm just guiding this down my stick, not directly over my stencil. And I'm letting the resin close in over it, like so. Now it's covered, and you don't see any color floating up like you do this holographic glitter. So that is the difference between using a chameleon powder or a regular mica powder and using a holographic glitter. Glitter is light, remember, it floats. That's why we use this clear glue trick to keep glitter evenly dispersed. This one is light, so it's going to float around. Our chunky glitters, like this, are heavy and sink to the bottom. That's why we use the glue to keep it all evenly dispersed. So if you don't want to have or risk any of your stuff floating, your colors floating up, don't use the holographic glitter. Instead, use the chameleon powders. And you see how beautiful that is. Nothing is out of shape. Nothing changed at all. It all stayed like it was in the stencil. This is going to turn out beautiful. I'm going to add another layer. Like I said, I'm probably going to add some little grass pieces on this when this clear cures. And then behind that, I'm going to put a dark background. I'll decide on what I want to do with that background. But for these, if you want that vibrant, bright color, you want a dark background. It's really going to pop off of that really well. If you want to pastel it down, like if you're doing an Easter project, use a white background because it's going to pastel your colors. So it depends on the effect that you want to have. And now that I have these where I want them, I'm going to pour the rest of this here. And I'm really going to pour it over this top layer. I'm not really, and I'm pouring it directly on this one. I'm not, because this is thickened resin. It's really getting thick. And I'm not really concerned if this goes down in my sides just yet, because I can come back with another. And I'm going to pour through here to let that close up there. Well, I mean, it can be both. It can be a happy accident. It depends what your final product comes out looking like, right? And some of this is going to go down the sides, and I don't care. That's fine. But the main thing that I want covered is this top layer. So, all right, I'm going to leave that like it is. And then I can come back with a different color and fill, because this is not all filled across here. So I'll make sure that that's evenly coated. And then if I want to, I can go back and add maybe some aquarium rock that's bright neon colors and fill in the rest of the sides with just that neon rock. I can come back and I can put some gold leaf in there. I can add some colored rocks in there. There's all kind of things you can do. But that was a great question. It can distort your project from what you envisioned, and it can lead you in a direction you didn't think about going in the first place. Like here, maybe these are shadows. Maybe this is a panda that's like a ghost. It's a holographic panda. Maybe it's not solid. You see what I'm saying? So you can invent and turn it into something positive. Now, with the panda, maybe you want to, and you can do this, and I have done this before. You can let this cure, and then you can take a paintbrush and some acrylic paint and paint some bamboo trees. Paint some mountains, right? Directly on your resin once it's cured. And then you let that completely dry. I mean, like when I paint acrylic scenes or anything behind my pieces, I let that sit for a good 24 to 48 hours before I add another layer of resin. Because you want to make sure that acrylic paint is absolutely 100% dry, because any type of moisture in resin is not going to go well. And if it's still wet, that acrylic is going to leak into your resin and cause some dyes and leaking, and it's going to color the resin around that area. So you can use acrylic paint, and you can go in and paint scenes if you want to. But you got to make sure you give it plenty of time to dry before you add another layer of resin. But y'all, that's what I wanted to cover with you guys. There's a lot of different things that you can use just simply using a stencil. You don't have to be a miraculous, gorgeous, freehand artist. God knows I am not. I do paint some things. I am better at nature. Most definitely, I cannot draw a person to save my life. It would be a stick figure playing hangman if someone asked me to draw a person. So let stencils be your friend. That's what I'm saying. And another thing you can do with stencils, and I have a video on it, and I'm going to do an updated one. You can use this stencil and get this hand lotion and create something that looks identical to etched glass using a stencil, hand lotion, and resin. Did y'all know that trick? I know, Tamara, when I get this finished, I'll do a short, and I'll make sure that I give it to you guys so you can see the finished project. It's going to be a lot of fun, but there's so many things you can do with these. Don't shy away from them. Give it a try. Just try it out and see. You might be surprised at what. I'm really loving this horse. You're right. It is the year of the horse. And I'm a country girl. I miss my horses, so very fitting. But y'all, that's all we have for this one. I really wanted to show you what can and can't be done using stencils, how you can use it to your advantage, and all the different things that you can do with them. I really hoped these ordinary. I actually got these stencils. Where did I actually think these came from Temu years ago. And I put them on a little ring to keep them stored so they're all together, because they all have a little hole in them. People ask, what is that hole for? It's to put on a ring so you can keep them all together so they don't get lost. But they could be primary school stencils. There's more intricate ones, like the horse. That's not a primary school one. There's some others that you really have to be careful. But if you find a stencil and you like it, I say grab it and give it a try. That's my 2 cents on that one. We can dress up and do a lot of things with these. But you guys, I really wanted to give you a first look at how you use a stencil and some different varying mica powders and holographic glitters to create beautiful designs. So it doesn't have to just be a plain tray. I have one here. This is not a plain tray either. I simply just marbled some colors on here. Nothing to it. No designs, no nothing, just some marbling. So this is a way you can dress it up if you want. But y'all, that's all I have for this one. Make sure you do all the YouTube things. Give us a thumbs up if you haven't, because that really allows other artists to find us and get answers or learn things that are really simple and easy that beginners can do too. I appreciate you guys so much. I couldn't do any of this without you. Thank you so much for being a part of our family. And that's all I have for this one, y'all. So till next time, happy arting. Ta-ta for now.